Hello, and welcome to the CUNY Teacher Education webinar series. My name is Jennifer Case from CUNY's Office of Academic Affairs. Today's webinar is focused on the new multi-subject content specialty test. The multi-subject CST measures knowledge in 3 areas and is broken up into 3 distinct tests: literacy and English language arts, mathematics, and arts and sciences. According to the exam framework, Part 1 and 2 consist of selected response items, which you can think of as multiple choice questions, as well as 1 extended constructed response item, which will require an extended written response based on evidence that you're given to read over. Part 3 is shared by all 4 multi-subject assessments, so candidates who seek certification in more than 1 grade level only need to pass Part 3 once. There are 4 versions of the multi-subject CST: Teachers of Early Childhood, birth through grade 2, Teachers of Childhood, grades 1 through 6, Teachers of Middle Childhood, grades 5 through 9, and Secondary Teachers in grades 7 through 12. Teacher candidates must take the multi-subject CST that matches their certificate area. There have been several changes to the multi-subject CST in the last year. Teacher candidates must now pass each subpart of the test separately. This means that you should think of each part as its own test that you need to pass to become certified. While you can take all 3 parts of the exam in one sitting, you're not required to. Students must take and pass the CST that's specific to their certification area. So for example, if you want to be certified in both childhood and early childhood, you'll take 2 multi-subject CSTs. In addition, secondary special education generalist candidates must now pass the CST for grades 7 through 12 to become certified. Part 1 of the test focuses on literacy and English language arts and is made up of 40 selected response questions and 1 constructed response item. The 40 multiple choice questions count for 70% of your total score and test competency in 3 areas: knowledge of literacy and language arts, instruction in foundational literacy skills, and instruction in English language arts. The constructed response counts for 30% of your total score and tests competency in analysis, synthesis, and application. Part 2 of the test focuses on mathematics and is made up of 40 selected response items and 1 constructed response item. The multiple choice questions make up for 80% of this total score and test competency in a number of areas: number and operations, operations and algebraic thinking, measurement, geometry and data, and instruction in mathematics. The 1 constructed response item makes up 20% of your total score and tests competency in analysis, synthesis, and application. Part 3 of the test focuses on arts and sciences and is made up of only selected response questions with no constructed response item. The 40 multiple choice questions test competency in science and technology, which counts for 40% of your score, social studies, which counts for 40% of your score, and fine arts, health and fitness, family and consumer science, and career development, which all together count for 20% of your score. Part 3 of the test is the same no matter which version of the multi-subject you're taking. In other words, if you need to take both the B through 2 and 1 through 6 CSTs, you'll take 2 ELA tests, Part 1, 2 math tests, Part 2, but only 1 arts and sciences, Part 3, because it will count for both exams. There is an exam fee that's necessary to pay in order to take the exam. You can pay for each part separately, which would be $75 for Part 1, $75 for Part 2, and $49 for Part 3, or you can pay $179 to take all 3 parts together in 1 testing administration. More information about registration is available on the NYSE website linked here, and information about computer-based testing sites is available on the Pearson VUE website. We're now going to go over some test preparation tips to help you study for the exam. You'll feel more confident during the exam if you're aware of the timing for each section. You can complete practice tests to give you a feel for how long you'll be spending on each section of the test. You're given 2 hours for Part 1 of the exam, 2 hours and 15 minutes for Part 2, and 1 hour for Part 3. Some candidates have reported that they felt rushed during the exam, so you'll want to practice and plan out your time. For example, you may choose to start with the constructed response questions first because it will take half of your time, and you may want to get the writing out of your way before doing the selected response questions. Think about the scoring of the exam, the suggested time, and your own testing strengths as you plan how you will complete the different sections of the test. Before taking the test, it's also important that you review the exam framework on the NYSE website, which gives you an outline of the information you'll need to know for the exam. The framework will give you all of the topics that you may be tested on. After you review the framework, you should identify terms and concepts that are unfamiliar to you and that you need to study more. You can then create a study guide in which you define unfamiliar terms, write out unfamiliar content, and create a list of material to study to help you prepare. You can then use that list to look up practice items in places like New York State Regents exams, previous NYSE review materials, or study books. As you prepare your study guide, you should also take time to review Common Core math problems. There are many connections between the math section of the multi-subject test and the Common Core state standards for math. Reading through the framework, you'll see that some of the test content is taken directly from the standards, and other areas of the framework are closely related. New York State has free Common Core math items on their Engage New York website, which you can use to practice. There are also practice math sets available for you in the CUNY Teacher Education Blackboard group. It's important to be aware and comfortable with the computer-based platform before you walk in to take your exam. The NYSE website offers a free tutorial on computer-based testing that shows the features of computer-based tests, including how to move between questions and how to select your answers. In addition, there's a free sample practice test available. The sample practice test is not specific to any of the multi-subject exams, but it does provide practice in selecting answers and navigating through the online test platform. Even though you're taking the test on a computer, there are still some testing strategies you can use. You'll want to practice using the computer-based platform before you take your test so that you're comfortable with the system. You will be given a dry erase board that you can use to take notes or work through math problems. The computer platform also allows you to navigate through the test, so if you want to do the constructed response questions first, or if you want to save a certain section until the end, you have the ability to do so. You also have the ability to flag questions for review. So if you need to skip a question or are unsure of your answer, be sure to flag them. This saves you time because you don't need to go back through every question later to find them. You'll just need to go back to the questions that you flagged. Before you take the exam, you should review these resources for additional information and practice. The Teacher Education Blackboard group is a great resource. It includes online preparation materials and links to all of the frameworks and practice questions, in addition to Common Core math practice. The link on this slide leads to a YouTube video that shows you how to join the group. Please note that only CUNY students and staff will have access to the Teacher Education Blackboard group. The NYSE website is another helpful resource that has preparation guides and the framework for the test. The preparation guide has sample selected response and constructed response items that are useful to look at as you think through your strengths and areas you need to prepare. The framework is important to read over before the exam as you learn information regarding the test format and content. The Engage New York website also has practice Common Core test questions and a list of the Common Core standards that you may find helpful as you prepare. Finally, there also are some test preparation books available on Amazon. However, you should check to make sure that they are for this new updated version of the multi-subject. If the book was published before 2014, they are probably not up to date on the new exam. Thank you for viewing our webinar today. After reviewing this webinar, if you have any additional questions about the multi-subject exam or certification in New York State, please feel free to email us at teacher.education@cuny.edu.